Hello, Virgo. Um, there's something happening. Not outside, not in the news, not in the weather, not in anything you could point to and say, there, that's it. It's closer than that. It's been sitting somewhere just behind your chest for a while now. Quiet, patient. Like it's been waiting for you to stop being busy enough to notice it. And maybe you have noticed. Maybe that's why you're here right now, not because you planned it, but because something pulled you. Some part of you that doesn't use words, doesn't make lists, doesn't explain itself. It just moves toward certain things, away from others. And lately, it's been moving. Uh, you might call it restlessness. You might call it anxiety. Some people would call it excitement, but that word feels too light for what this actually is, doesn't it? It's heavier than excitement. It has weight, the kind of weight that makes you lie awake at 2, and not because something is wrong, but because something is shifting, um, and you don't quite know what to do with that. There's a version of you that wants to believe something good is coming. You felt it before, that particular kind of hope that doesn't announce itself loudly. It sneaks in through a random Tuesday morning, through a song you haven't heard in years, through a moment where you catch yourself smiling and you don't immediately know why. And for a second, just a second, everything feels like it's lining up. But then there's the other part, the part that immediately asks, what if it doesn't? What if this feeling is just a feeling? What if you've been here before, standing at the edge of something that felt enormous and it turned out to be nothing? Or worse, it turned out to be something and you weren't ready and it cost you. Um, that's the thing about change that nobody really talks about. It doesn't just ask you to receive something new. It asks you to let go of something old. And sometimes you don't even know what you're holding on to until the moment you're asked to release it. And your hands tighten. So you wait, not because you're passive, not because you don't care, but because there's a part of you that has learned maybe the hard way that moving too fast towards something you want can sometimes be the quickest way to lose it. So you stay still and you watch and you feel this thing building inside you that has no name yet. And the waiting itself becomes its own kind of weight. Because here's what's strange about this moment you're in. It doesn't feel like nothing. It feels like the specific silence before something speaks, like the second before a door opens. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just that particular quality of stillness that feels loaded, that feels like it means something even when you can't say what. Um, and you've been dismissing it, maybe for weeks, maybe longer, telling yourself it's just your imagination, telling yourself you're reading too much into ordinary moments, that you're projecting, that you want something so badly your mind is constructing signs out of coincidences. Maybe, maybe that's all it is, but maybe not. Um, there's a difference, and it's subtle, it's easy to miss, between the stories your anxiety tells you and the quiet signals your own awareness is picking up. Anxiety is loud. It repeats itself. It catastrophizes. It needs you to respond to it immediately. But this other thing, it doesn't demand anything. It just persists softly underneath everything else, like a note held just below the range of hearing. And you keep coming back to it. Even when you try not to, even when you fill your days with enough noise to drown it out, at night, when the noise stops, there it is, still there, patient in a way that almost unsettles you. Because patience like that suggests something, not certainty, not a promise, just a quality of realness that the distractions don't have. The distractions fade when you stop feeding them. But this thing doesn't fade. And that's worth sitting with, maybe. There's a part of you, and this is the part that's hardest to admit, that's afraid of good things. Not because you don't want them, but because you've learned somewhere along the way that wanting something too openly makes you vulnerable. That hope has a cost. That the higher you let yourself feel, the further there is to fall if it doesn't work out. So somewhere quietly, without even fully deciding to, you started keeping your expectations low, just to be safe. And that protection made sense once. It probably still makes sense in certain situations, but there's a question underneath it, one you might not have let yourself ask yet. At what point does protecting yourself from disappointment become the same thing as protecting yourself from your own life? That's not an accusation. It's just a question. One that might be worth holding for a moment without immediately answering it. Because the thing about preparation, real preparation, not the anxious kind, is that it looks less like bracing yourself and more like opening slightly, carefully, the way you'd open a window in a room that's been closed for too long. Not all at once, just enough to let something new move through. And maybe that's what this feeling is. Maybe it's not a warning. Maybe it's not your anxiety inventing something to worry about. Maybe, and this is just a maybe, it's you. Some older, quieter version of you. The one that existed before you learned to be careful, before you learned to manage your own expectations, before you started editing yourself down to something safer. That version still exists. You haven't lost it. It's just been waiting in the same patient way this feeling has been waiting for you to get quiet enough, for you to stop running long enough, for you to be here, exactly here, and let yourself notice. And noticing doesn't require anything of you right now. It doesn't require a decision. It doesn't require certainty. It doesn't require you to understand what's coming or when or how. It just requires this strange, heavy, unnamed thing you've been carrying to be acknowledged, not fixed, not explained away, just seen. because there's something about the moment just before a life changes. And I don't mean dramatically, I don't mean all at once. There's something about that moment that almost always feels like this uncomfortable, uncertain, like standing in a hallway between two rooms, one behind you that you know too well, one ahead of you that you can't see into yet. And the hallway is the hardest part. Not the room you left, not the room ahead. The hallway, the in between. The place where you've already let go of one thing but haven't yet arrived at the next. That place has a particular kind of loneliness to it, a particular kind of silence. But maybe the hallway is also the only place where you're completely honest with yourself, where the performance stops, where the version of you that exists for other people gets to rest for a moment, and what's left is just you, raw, unfinished, real, and maybe that's not something to rush through. Maybe that's something to, just for a moment, stay inside of. Not forever, just long enough to remember who you actually are when nobody's watching. When there's nothing to perform. When there's nothing to prove, because the version of you that's about to step into whatever comes next, it matters who that is. It matters what they're carrying. It matters what they've quietly decided about themselves in the dark. Those quiet decisions, the ones you make when no one's around, not even yourself really, those are the ones that shape things. More than the loud ones. More than the announcements. More than the plans. So if something is shifting and it feels like something is, then maybe the most honest thing you can do right now is just be here for it, not ahead of it, not behind it, here, in the quiet, in the weight of it, in the not yet knowing. Because some things, some real significant things, they don't announce themselves. They don't come with noise or fanfare or obvious signs. They come quietly. In ordinary moments, in the middle of a Tuesday, in a feeling you almost dismissed, in a stillness you almost filled with noise, and you almost did fill it with noise, but you didn't. You're here instead, listening to something, even if you're not sure yet what it's saying. Maybe that's enough for now. Maybe that's exactly enough. Whatever is coming, whatever this feeling is pointing toward, it found you here. In the quiet, in the honest part of the night, where the real version of you lives, the one that hasn't given up, the one that still somehow shows up. And maybe that's the thing that changes everything. Not a moment, not an event, not something that happens to you, but the quiet, stubborn fact that you keep showing up, even when you don't know why, even when it's heavy, Even when the hallway feels like it goes on forever, uh, you're still here. Uh, and something about that feels like it matters. Uh, Even if you can't say why yet, even if the words aren't there, it matters.